This week's podcast involves a guest, my client Nathan. This is a recorded conversation with one of the absolute legends that we have inside of the Lifeproof Programme, and it's also the first podcast that has a video to accompany it, hence why I'm uploading it to YouTube as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. Nathan joined having spent the last few years with personal trainers and was feeling very stuck, very frustrated, and he kind of developed this belief that nothing was ever going to work for him. The reason being was he'd put a lot of effort in over the last few years. He'd been exercising regularly, seeing a personal trainer multiple times a week, trying to eat healthier, and doing absolutely everything that he thought he should be doing, but the weight just wasn't shifting. And he still struggled to juggle being a dad, being a partner, working a demanding desk job where he'd find himself sat down for 12 hours a day, and on top of that, having to find time for himself. So what you will see is, and what you will hear from this conversation, is that he didn't have a motivational problem because he was willing to do the work. He was already doing the work. But despite countless numbers of approaches, he felt like he was always spinning his wheels, and he really started to build up this belief that it was either him that was broken or it was his desk job that was actually holding him back. And him sitting for up to 12 hours a day, it felt like that was the thing that was working against him, that his routine was really working against him. But just like Nathan did, and like all of our guys do, all of the guys that work with us, they discover once they're inside of the program is that most of the time they don't need to do more, and they just need to do something that's right for them, something that fits their life, a plan that fits their life. And often that is less, it's just being more efficient with the things that you're actually doing. So let me shut up. We're going to join the conversation just at the point where I actually interrupted Nathan whilst he was in full flow because I needed to hit the record button as I had forgotten. So just a heads up that it will be halfway through a sentence. And also I did take this call in David Lloyd, so it was very noisy, and the Zoom feature that kind of filters out the background noise was working overtime. So I do sound muffled at points, but Nathan is doing most of the talking, and he is speaking about his journey, his experience working together, and he is absolutely crystal clear, which is the most important part. Enjoy.
That we can use. Carry on. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, no worries. So I think like it's been a real mindset change for me. So the last 4 weeks I've been, or 5 weeks I've been ill. 2 of those weeks, which like for me is it never happens. That's just compounded from one thing to the other, and it's meant that I've not been able to work out as much as I wanted to. There have been some weeks where I've done nothing, other weeks where I've got in done a workout. I thought, wow, I'm absolutely blowing here. I need to recover. Um, but I've maintained a good nutritional balance because of it. So in my mind, I thought, okay, you're not doing this thing over here, so you really need to be in control of the thing that you can be in control of, and that is the nutrition. And add into the fact that you're working 10, 12, 14-hour days, particularly in an office-based job, you're not moving around a lot, so you're not burning as many calories. You don't need as many calories. So, okay, be mindful of that and think about, okay, are you going to go and have that KFC tonight because you're being lazy? Or are you just going to rustle something up that's quick and easy for 15 minutes, but actually it's probably a third of the calories in it? And that's more often than not, I mean, I'm not perfect, I don't get it right every time, but more often than not, I'm making that sensible decision, and I'm thinking, okay, still a bit hungry, I'll have a protein yogurt afterwards, or I'll have a protein shake. It's making better decisions and not compounding the impact of not being physically active.
Yeah. So how would that differ to what you would have done previously if you were going
Oh
through the
mate,
same
I would it would
situation?
just it yeah, it would have just snowballed. So I'd have thought, well, I've not worked out today. And then you get in your mindset, you think, well, you've done that, you might as well just do the next bad thing and keep going. And all those good habits become bad habits, and it's really easy for it to just continue that way. So understanding that you can nip it in the bud straight away, and actually you'll feel just as satisfied eating a stir fry as you would do eating a KFC or whatever it might be. You'll feel just as full, and you'll actually feel happy about it because you've made a good decision. Do that a few times and you start thinking, okay, I actually quite like making the right decision. I'm going to keep making the right decision.
Mm. Yeah, you build up more confidence in yourself as well. I don't like Conor McGregor whatsoever, but a video of his came up. It's like one of those motivational like reels that pop up. And I thought it was so true where he was mentioning like if you tell yourself that you're going to get up at a certain time, you're going to train at a certain time, that you're not going to eat a certain thing. And if you constantly let yourself on that, you don't get up at that time, you don't train at that time. The thing you said you weren't going to eat, you eat. They're like little mini defeats that just peck away at your confidence that you can actually do the thing you want to do. So
Yeah.
as much as I don't like him, I thought that was really, really like almost stoic. Like you want to build up trust and confidence in yourself, little wins that you can follow through on the things that you say you're going to do. And it's like momentum. The more you let yourself down, and of course, we're not robots. We are human. We want to have the KFC every now and then. But if you constantly let yourself down, you end up staying stagnant. That's when you start to lose confidence in yourself and you start to doubt things, and like self-doubt belief starts to creep in that you can't do it instead of going the other way that you can.
Mm. Yeah,
Um,
it's so true.
sorry.
I've been listening to Sir Jake Humphrey and another guy. He's a professor. They've got a podcast called High Performance, and been listening to
Oh yeah,
that quite a
yeah.
lot when I've been working out. And they had one of the Stoic guys on there, and I think one of the original CrossFitters as well. And they both say the same thing. Like it's really about sticking to your principles. And what are your values? If you are the person who says you are going to do what you say you're going to do, then if you're going to say you're going to get up at 6:30 and you're going to work out, do it. Like if you can make that first decision of the day the one that you're sticking to, it's much easier to then say, okay, at 9 o'clock I am going to do this. At 4 o'clock I am going to do this. But if you start your day with, oh, I'm just going to snooze my alarm for half an hour, like the rest of the day carries on that way. And I've since I've heard that, I've really noticed it myself. Like on a Sunday, if I say, oh yeah, I don't know, we're gonna go for a walk at 10 o'clock after breakfast, and then at 10 o'clock you're still in bed, like it just the rest of the day falls apart.
Yeah, 100%. At the same time, though, it's interesting to notice that sometimes if say the odd occasion we do snooze the alarm, that then we can take that mindset into the rest of the day that this day is now going to be a struggle. I'm going to be behind. Sometimes and that's another level of a mindset shift, I suppose, where you can just nip it in the bud and say, right, I've done this one thing, I'm not going to let it snowball, which you just mentioned a second ago, I suppose. If you couldn't get to the gym, you're still going to control the other areas and still going to make progress with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought this might be a good segue just to go straight into a couple of questions I have prepared. But honestly, this is just relaxing to say what comes to mind. You don't have to feel like there's bits I'll probably use, there's bits I won't use, and I'll chop it down and make some little sound
Yeah,
bites
cool.
from it. So just for this first question, can I get you to phrase it? So repeat basically the question back. After that, it'll be absolutely fine because this question I might use as like the start of something. But as a dad
Yeah.
that works a desk-based job, what have you tried before to tackle your health and fitness goals?
Okay, so as a dad who works a desk-based job, I have tried everything, to be honest. I've tried everything from Joe Wick's Lean and 15, from the cookbooks through to the YouTube videos, through to actually signing up to the 90-day plan, which was to an extent a success. There were improvements in my weight and in my levels of energy, which was great. The food was absolutely amazing, but it wasn't. I didn't find it particularly sustainable, mainly because the food. There's a lot of food. It was expensive. We're in the middle of a bit of a tough time financially, aren't we, as a country and as a world? So justifying an almost doubling of the spending on the grocery shop every week is just not something that you can do, particularly when you've got kids and all the pressures that come with that. I have tried, joining various different gyms and classes or personal training there. And to be honest, what I found is that I've always enjoyed the classes, but not necessarily seen much of a change in um, my weight or my appearance. I've also found that and this is probably the biggest takeaway I've taken from personal training, just generally, is that PTs are very, very good at the exercise side of things. In fact, they're fantastic in exercise things. And some of the PTs that I've worked with have really shown me really good form in ways to lift or some good, the good exercise that I wouldn't have known about that have really, I still do today and really enjoy. And so all credit to them for that, but they're not necessarily hot on the nutritional side of things. And that's always been my problem is I like exercise. I've played sport from a very young age and I will always like exercise, but I've never balanced it with a healthy nutritional plan. And by healthy, I don't mean eating veg and fruit all the time, but the right nutritional plan for me, for my body and the amount of exercise that I do.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, I was a personal trainer for 6 years, so I'll never ever not. I think everyone should do personal training, and there are some fantastic, and a lot of them. You the industry average for a personal trainer is about 18 months. So when you know a personal trainer's been in the industry for a while, they've got to be worth their salt. So I always recommend people do that. But at the same time, personal trainers are there to kind of show you how the gym works, to show you the technique. So sometimes if there are maybe a little bit of mindset, or I always use the term skill, will, belief. If you don't necessarily have a skill, like the knowledge, you need to go and find someone that does. If you have the will to do the work, but you don't have the belief, then there's always going to be a sticking point in terms of self-belief, because you haven't quite got the right knowledge, you haven't got the right tools. So when you can encompass them all together, that's when you start to fly. So I always recommend personal training first. And then if you're not really seeing the results you want, that's when you might need to move on to something that's a little bit more fully encompassing. That's amazing, by the way. Thank you for that. So what would you say? I know you've already just sort of answered this, but what would you say has been different to the Lifeproof program compared to the approaches that you've used in the past, like personal training?
Yeah, so I would say the two biggest differences, nutrition for one. Now, it was very clear from the start that you can exercise all you like, but if you don't have the nutrition side of things, then you're not going to see the changes either at all or as quickly as you want to see them. And also the flip side is that you still need to be exercising at the same time. You can't just rely on the fact that you're going to be eating healthily. Like, they work hand in hand. And if one slips, then you're going to see progress less quickly than perhaps you would like. Um, the other thing, this was the one that probably shocked me more than anything else, is to let myself be vulnerable. The Life Pro program really encourages open speaking and just throwing your thoughts out there, talking about how you're actually feeling. And as a man, as a middle-aged man, as a man who's got two young children and a partner and all the pressures that come with that and all the joys that come with that. Let's be fair. It's not easy to be vulnerable, but you're often the rock for a lot of people, and you can stick in that mode even when you don't necessarily need to. So to join a group of people like yourself, like your colleagues, like my peers, who are very open about talking about how difficult they're finding things, or asking for some help in certain areas or some guidance in certain areas, but also talking about the joys as well. That has been fantastic for me. And I would say I've taken that into my everyday life a bit more as well, where I feel happier to be more vulnerable because I can see the positives out of it.
Amazing. That's so good. And yeah, I've always said vulnerability is a huge strength, because if you can't be vulnerable, you don't get help from things that you're struggling with. So you stay stuck and you stay kind of within yourself rather than opening up a little bit and actually moving forward and growing as a person. That's incredible. So when you were trying all these different approaches, did you begin to doubt whether you could get the results that you've achieved because of
Yeah,
maybe the fact that you were working a desk-based job?
yeah, totally, totally. I just thought that, if I look around at the people that are physically fit, physically able, and look at the ones that I know, they all work outside. So they're all working either as builders or plumbers or electricians or even train drivers, but they're out and about. They're not sat behind a desk for 10 hours a day. They're not trying to find 15, 20 minutes to be active in a really busy day, because they are just naturally active. But also they're also the ones that still go to the gym. So then that made me think, well, hang on a minute. That yes, they are physically active, but they're still finding time to go to the gym. So why aren't I finding time to go to the gym? And why aren't I finding the right mindset to make the right food, to eat the right food at the right times?
Perfect. What were your main worries and concerns before joining?
Um, Whether I'd stick to it, to be honest. That I think I would say, if I look back on my last 15, 20 years of trying to be physically active, I don't quite fall into the same category of joining a gym on the 1st of January and then stopping on like the 2nd of February. I normally last 3, 4, 5 months, and then something comes up that derails me. And it's the same thing that could derail anyone, but I'm not very good at hopping back on. And this time with you guys, I've definitely found that firstly, I fall off a lot less, but actually when I do fall off, I hop straight back on. And it's really easy to hop back on because of that vulnerability, because of the openness of, okay, you know what, I've had a rubbish week. I've had COVID, I've had two takeaways, and I've had a really beige set of meals because I've just been cooking for the kids. And it's just like, well, okay, but everyone does that. Just hop back on, come back on. You're welcome to come back on, and there's no judgment. But and it's really nice. Whereas where yeah, community, I guess, is the way I'd describe it. Like where I've not necessarily had that community in the past, or whether that's because of intimidation in the gym, not through anything that anyone's done, just the whole idea of, oh, look at all these meatheads in their vests that clearly, live and breathe it, and there's you like sat there with your little pork belly, no, thinking about coming back to the gym, and it's just I've not experienced any of that negativity through the Lifeproof program.
Amazing. What was it that drew you towards us?
To be honest, mate. So obviously we built up a bit of a rapport in the gym, chatted a bit. I could see how passionate you were when you're talking to your clients, and that you really do care. And it's just having spoken to you a bit more, having seen the program a bit more, joined the webinars, it was clear that it was a complete package, in terms of the nutrition, the exercise, the support, and the community. And I think that's, if you're someone who doesn't necessarily get that in life because you've got such a busy life, finding it in a world where you want to be happier and healthier is just such a massive bonus.
That's incredible, and that's, to be honest, exactly why I'm kind of pivoting to guys like you, because I've seen the benefit in guys who have a lot of responsibility, and you are kind of a rock for your family. You don't have that kind of pillar to turn to, someone else that is there for you rather than you being there for someone else. So that's kind of what I'm pivoting towards. So I really appreciate that. You've already covered this to some degree, but what has been the biggest mindset shift since joining the program?
Biggest mindset shift. There've been a few, so I'm struggling with this one a little bit. I think it is just, don't compound the bad mistakes. So, you're only human. It's okay to slip. It's obviously human to slip, and don't beat yourself up. Just hop back on, and tomorrow's a new day. Like, I wouldn't even go as far as saying tomorrow's a new day. I'd say, like, if you have a bad lunch, you think, okay, well, just don't make the same mistake at dinner, or even if it's not a bad lunch, but it's more calories than perhaps you'd normally have, or more fat than you normally have. That's fine. But then when you come to dinner time, make a conscious decision to eat something that's maybe a little less calorific or a bit more healthier, so that you're not making one bad judgment after another. And I think in the past, I've probably thought, if I've got to Tuesday or Wednesday, made a bad decision food wise, or not exercised, I'll probably let it run for the rest of the week and then think, well, Monday's a new week. Whereas now it's very much, okay, dinner is a new meal, or tomorrow morning is a new day to get up and exercise. And so it's more about that shorter turnaround time to reset.
Amazing. What do you think's been the basis of that? The basis of making that shift in mindset of not letting it run until the following Monday and nipping it in the bud?
I would say it's seeing the progress that I'm making and not wanting it to slip. So there have been some tangible things that I've been able to look at and think, wow, I am making progress. So, the jeans are looser, or the t-shirts that I wasn't wearing 6 months ago because I didn't like the way I looked at them, actually look really good now. And the ones that I was wearing are way too big and I look stupid in now. And again, on the scales as well. If I look at week to week to week to week, I'm making really good progress in a healthy way, in a manageable way. But I know if I slip back too quickly and too easily, that can all be undone. And I don't want to undo the hard work and the positivity that I've got right now.
Amazing. Sorry, I just muted it in case the noise in the background was pulling the microphone over to me and we missed anything. What has we've only got a couple of quick left, by the way. What has life like inside of the community been like for you?
Pretty good. I mean, I would say I'm not necessarily. So I would say one to one, I'm an extrovert. I'm not necessarily the guy that will go to massive networking events and talk to everyone about myself. It's not something I do. I love hearing about other people. I'm not great at opening up about myself, but being involved in the WhatsApp group, seeing the conversations going on, being involved in some of the webinars, I might not be the one that is speaking up as much, but I'm certainly the one that is the sponge that listens to these people, that understands what they're going through. I'll give a word or two of support. but I will normally come away from that thinking, oh, that's exactly how I feel. And someone's going through exactly the same thing, and they've spoken about it and they've talked it through and they feel much better about it. And so what I'm finding is, yeah, I'll talk to you. I'll talk to David. I'll be really honest about it. I'm using voice notes for the first time in my life, by the way. So thanks for that. Because I've never really been a voice notes person, but it is much more personal. And it's just finding, yeah, I'm finding it really good, and it's coming into my day-to-day life as well. Like so, my partner and I will often now sit down and I'll just open up about things a little bit more. And she's noticed that I'm happier, nicer, more open, shall we say?
I think a lot of guys can relate to that, like the not necessarily being an introvert, being extroverted, like in a one-to-one situation. But when it comes to like a group, you're happy kind of being there, but you're not necessarily the one in the group that's like shouting the loudest about everything. I think a lot of guys will relate to that, and that's sometimes I think puts people off is the feeling that they have to be front and center of everything. It's more so this is your plan. If you need help, we'll be there for you, and you can take as much as you want. Sometimes you're going to be really busy and you're going to have to take a little bit, and other times you might be struggling and you're going to take a lot. So I think you found that balance really. You've like struck that balance perfectly. What have you? So yes, there's a weight loss perspective, but what have you achieved along with the weight loss? Like what's life like now compared to when it was before?
Yeah, so mobility wise, I'm much stronger. I've had some challenges with my back from teenage years, and I've found that those challenges are more infrequent because I'm stronger around it. I'm probably moving my body in better ways because other areas of my body are stronger, and that's been a real positive. And the knock-on effect of that is that I'm not laid up in pain or not laid up unable to move and therefore not able to exercise. So, the stronger I am, the more I can exercise, the more I can make it stronger, the more I can make it. It's just a virtuous circle, and it's really positive. Mentally as well, I'm in a really good place. I would certainly categorize myself as the guy that's always got a smile on his face even if he's unhappy. And I like to make other people feel happy, maybe at my own detriment sometimes. Whereas now I'm just genuinely happy most of the time. We all have our moments, but it's noticeable. I get up for exercising. So before I even exercise, I thought, okay, because I know it's going to put me in such a good mental state that I'm looking forward to it. And then I'm in the middle of it, and it's hard work, but you push through it because you know you're going to enjoy it, and you get to the end of it, and just that feeling of right. I'm set for the day now. I'm a happier person. Any frustrations I've had, any arguments that I need to have in my own head, I've done, and they're over and done with, and I can focus now on the rest of my day. And because I can focus on the rest of the day, I achieve more. And when I achieve more, I'm happier. So whether that's achieving more at work, whether that's just picking the kids up from the school because I've managed to get half an hour back to do it. It's all positive, and it's been transformational.
Amazing. I love that. Thank you for that. And in terms of like a weight loss, and you might not know the exact number, but what roughly have you lost?
Over 20 pounds. So I think I started at 227, maybe a bit higher, and I weighed myself yesterday. I was 206. So that's been really good, and that's in a space of time where, to be honest, I've not exercised that much. It's just about maintaining good habits with the nutrition.
100%. The 23 hours outside of the gym will make a bigger difference than the 1 hour in it. So, um,
100%. Yeah.
yeah. What has, so thinking about not just the weight loss, but all the other things you just mentioned, what has it meant to you to achieve those things?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
So not just thinking about the weight loss, but the other things you mentioned before that, what has it meant for you to achieve those things?
Huge. Like I don't think I ever realized how positive an impact exercising, eating the right things can have on your mood, can have on your mental health. And I probably didn't quite realize how much my mental health suffered from being sat in front of a screen for 8, 10, 12 hours a day. And particularly when you work from home as well, I think as much as it is nice to be able to work from home and not have to trudge into an office every day, and I don't miss those days whatsoever, but you don't get that separation between life and work and then back to life again. And so I would find myself in the mornings thinking, okay, I just need to get through breakfast, get the kids fed, watered to school so that I can start work straight away. And then it would be finish work, maybe finish work before the kids go to bed, then put the kids into bed. It's really hard to go from dad to employee to dad to partner to like there's no you in that, right? And because there's no you in it, you're not really being you. So I would find myself being working Nathan while I'm trying to be dad. And so I would talk to the kids in a particular way in the same way I talk to my colleagues and think, hang on a minute, they're 7 and 2. Like they're not going to react the same way that you would do. And then sometimes you get the other way around where you speak to colleagues like you're talking to your 2-year-old and you think, well, that's not good at all, right? So I think being able to, and it's not about that having that separation of getting to the gym and having that separation. It's more about because I'm mentally stronger, I can check myself and say, right, you need to be in dad mode right now. You need to be kind and loving and nurturing. And once you've done that, you can say to yourself, right, now it's time to flip. You need to be working, Nathan. You need to be professional, friendly, still caring, but it is obviously a different tone. And because I've got more energy, because I'm mentally stronger, I'm able to make those conscious changes. Whereas in the past, I would say it was just one would roll into the next, would roll into the next, and you're not aware of which system. Daniel Kahneman talks about like two systems, system one and system two. You're not aware of which system you're actually utilizing. I think I was probably utilizing system one a lot more, which is like the chimp, if you talk about the chimp paradox. What I really needed to be doing was engaging system two a lot more, which takes more energy.
It's almost like shifting into more conscious, like instead of being on autopilot where you're just the day is ruling you other than you ruling the day, you're able now,
Totally.
yeah, you're able now to sort of shift into the right mode that you want to be in and be more conscious of how you're thinking and behaving. So that's incredible. You've noticed that shift. That's amazing. I think one of the biggest things you can build up that will mean that your results are going to last for the rest of your life is the ability to have really good emotional awareness, but also have like introspection. So you can actually think about your own thoughts. You can notice certain thoughts. It's like, okay, I'm feeling this certain thing, but I'm about to go into that. So maybe I need to take a step back, take a breather. How do I want to actually impact my children right now, rather than sort of taking this good call or conversation or this argument that I may have had at work? I don't want to take that into this dad mode. So yeah, I think that's an incredible thing that you built. Last two questions. What's next for you? How far do you think you can take?
I don't know is the honest answer. I think it's not even about what's next for me. It's about how do I keep doing what I'm doing. It's a habit now. I know in my heart of hearts that it would take a lot for this habit to change. And so I just want to keep running with it. I want to keep exercising 2, 3, 4 times a week. I want to keep being really mindful of the nutritional side of things. And I just want to see where it takes me. And that might take me to just being a much happier, healthier individual dad worker, or it might take me to CrossFit, or it might take me to bodybuilding. Like I don't know. And I kind of don't care. Like there isn't a point in time now I think, okay, I'll have hit that milestone. I'll have done what I wanted to do. It's not about that for me anymore. And it always used to be. It always used to be about, well, you're gonna get that six pack, or you're gonna have arms that are this width, or you're gonna be able to run half a marathon. It's not about that for me. They're nice things to have, but they're landmarks on the journey as opposed to being the end destinations.
You've absolutely nailed that. That is like you couldn't have phrased that better. Like actually achieving, like if you only have like a certain goal of achieving like a six pack, for instance, when you get there, it's so unfulfilling because you think, what's next? Like I've achieved that. If you're doing it for those reasons, it won't be sustainable. You do it because it's a part of who you are. It fulfills each goal that you achieve. It's like one step closer to the overall vision that you've got, but you never want to complete your vision because once you complete it, you just end up moving backwards. If you're not moving forward, you end up moving backwards. So you've summed that up better than I was going to sum it up just in reply. So final thing, what would you say to anyone if you were to talk to the Nathan before you joined, who was potentially a little bit worried that you weren't going to be able to stick to it? And if you know that there are many other people, dads like you out there, what would you say to them that are also feeling those concerns, apprehensions around joining?
I would say do it for yourself because those around you will also reap the benefits. You've got to want to do it for yourself, and a lot of the time, as dads, as working dads, that we don't do things for ourselves. It's because we want to do things for our partners, for our kids, for our families, for our co-workers, and actually, this is something that benefits all of those. No, not as much as it does yourself, but certainly you will be a better dad. You will be a better partner. You will be a better worker, employee, business owner. You will be all those things. But more importantly, it's because you will be happier, healthier, fitter, and just mentally in a better place.
Thank you for watching. I think you can agree that Nathan didn't just have an external transformation of the 20 plus pounds weight loss inside the first 12 weeks, but also very much an internal transformation as well, where he really changed some of his self beliefs and started to view this whole journey in a completely different light. And he's reaping the rewards in more patience with his children, more energy, improved health, improved fitness, and of course, being able to fit into clothes that he hasn't fit into for years, feeling more confident around the pool, around the beach, on holiday. So absolutely fantastic. If you made it through the entire conversation, I would absolutely love to know whether it's something that you can relate to. And if you did make it through the whole conversation, then you're an absolute warrior. Congratulations and thank you. And if you have any questions for me, the best place to find me is on Instagram at Tom_Charles_Smith. And I'm always up for a conversation. I'm always up for a chat. And if you want to send me anything like on Instagram Reels or stuff like that, anything that's made you laugh, then I'm always up for receiving that as well. Enjoy the rest of your day, whatever time it is that you're watching this, and I'll see you on the next one.